Okay, we're gonna be doing more stuff.
Connie's hosting a talent contest to find the best characters in the Dreamiverse. But she's a no-nonsense judge, and none of these candidates are up to scratch. Of course, Cuthbert's no use, so let's see if we can come up with something to impress her. Head into the dressing room, also known as edit mode, to get started.
Streaming or just playing?
What?
Are you streaming or just playing?
I'm streaming.
Okay.
In this tutorial, we'll be customizing the appearance of a puppet. So we'll need a blank canvas to start. Go to the assembly menu and open the gadgets menu. Now open the gameplay gear menu. In here, find the blank puppet deluxe. The deluxe version is the perfect starting point for making characters.
There we go.
Select it with X and a blue mannequin will appear on your imp. It has built-in features like jump and possession animations, which the basic version doesn't have. Connie won't be impressed by a basic puppet, so make sure you select the right one. Stamp the deluxe puppet in the scene with R2 or X. Get its feet roughly on the floor, but make sure they aren't intersecting with it. Then press the circle button to unequip the puppet from your imp. If you need to, you can grab and adjust the puppet with R2.
Okay.
In the next step, we'll start exploring the puppet's inner workings. The puppet might look simple, but it's quite a complex gadget. So let's get to know it a little better. It's made up of many objects that have been grouped together. And just like any other group, it can be scoped into. Hover over the puppet with your imp, press and hold L1, and then press X to scope in.
Ooh.
Below the puppet, you will now see its base and its logic microchip. If they're obscured by the floor, you may need to scope out and adjust your puppet's position. The puppet's body is made of sculptures, joined together with connectors. When scoped in, we can grab parts of the puppet to change its pose. Before we do that, find the button called Puppet Mirror in the context menu. Select this button with X, and your puppet will stay symmetrical when you pose it. Of course, you don't have to make it symmetrical, but it's a good way to start. You can always add nuance later. When you move a part of the puppet, all the parts connected to it will also move. The root of the puppet is the pelvis, and every other part is connected in a hierarchy from there. For example, moving the upper arm will move the lower arm and the hand as well. But if you move the pelvis, the whole puppet will move. Its feet will try to stay in contact with the floor. So if you lower the pelvis, the puppet's knees will bend. You can also rotate parts by grabbing them with L2. Use R2 and L2 to create a new pose for the puppet. Changing the pose can be a great starting point for a character. The pose could be confident, sad, scared, or aggressive.
That looks nice.
Don't forget, you can undo any changes with the left directional
Oh.
button if you make a mistake. Use
There
the
we go.
grab cam to adjust your pose from different angles. Just hold R1 over the puppet to activate it. When you've finished posing your puppet, move on to the next step.
Okay. Good. Okay, here we go.
Now we've posed our puppet, we can start adjusting its proportions. To do that, we're going to use the stretch tool.
Can you make him move?
Go to the assembly
I don't
menu,
know.
then open the tools menu. Select the stretch tool. It's the one that looks like a double-ended arrow. The stretch tool works like the move tool in a lot of ways. But with the stretch tool, you can move parts of the puppet beyond the limits of the connectors.
How?
Try grabbing and moving the puppet's head.
Is that his butt?
Notice the way the neck elongates and shortens. Now try it on the hands. This changes the length of the upper and lower arm.
Oh, hang on. Actually, never mind.
Some body parts respond differently to the stretch tool. For instance, if you move the upper arms, the shoulders will broaden and the chest will expand.
I don't know why it's just selecting things.
You can also scale parts of the puppet using the up and down directional buttons. I'd only recommend doing this to the puppet's extremities though. The head, hands and feet. Puppets are delicate contraptions, and extreme scaling and stretching can make them behave unexpectedly. But if anything does go skew with, just undo it using the left directional button. If you know how to use sculpt mode, you could try scoping into the individual body parts to change their shape.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna keep him the way he is.
You can find a whole tutorial on sculpting in the art tutorials. Have a play around with stretching and scaling and see what you can create. Try making the puppet more cartoony or turn it into a monster. Test out your puppet in play mode to see it in motion.
Okay, let's do that. Oh no! This.
Is that his running animation?
This is his running animation.
I see. So the other thing is his idle animation?
He just turns into like a turret.
That's pretty amazing.
Huh? Also, look at his walking animation.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's very amazing.
When you're done, return to edit mode. Rewind time with L3 to get your puppet back in position. In the next step, I'll show you how to color and stylize your puppet.
God, this is gonna be amazing.
Another way of customizing your puppet's
Oh.
appearance is by changing
He's
its
buff
color.
now.
We can do this by tinting
He's
it
strong
in coat mode.
now.
If you've played my tutorial on coat, style and effects, you'll already know how to do this. In the assembly menu, go to the modes menu and enter coat mode.
Okay, what color?
In the coat mode menu, open the
Yellow.
colors menu and select
Actually,
the color
how
for
about...
your puppet. Now hover over your puppet and hold R2 to tint it with your selected color.
His hands... Okay, I need to take a bit of time on this. His hands are... His hands are black. Okay, there we go.
The longer you hold R2, the stronger the tint will become. If you want your puppet to be multicolored, simply scope into the puppet. Select a different color from the colors menu. Hover your imp over a part of the puppet you want to tint. How about the head? Now, when you press and hold R2, just that part of the puppet will be tinted. You can also use the tools in style mode and effects mode. Try using style mode to change the texture
I'm
of your
gonna
puppet.
do some stuff.
If you don't know
In
how to
style
use style
mode.
mode, there's an art tutorial which can help you. In the next step, we'll dive into the dressing up box.
Okay.
One of the simplest ways to customize a puppet is by adding accessories. But to make sure they move with the puppet, we need to group them with a body part. Before we do that, it's important to fully understand the concept of scoping in and out of groups and objects. If you've played part 4 of the Start Dreaming tutorials, then you'll already know a thing or two about using groups. Objects in dreams are often combined into groups, which can be treated like a single object in assembly mode. Groups themselves can also be grouped. This means that you can have groups nested inside other groups. Let's try scoping in and out of something else before we invade the puppet's personal space. Over there on the floor is a hat box. Make sure you're in edit mode. Now try taking the lid off the hat box. The whole box will move because the lid, the box, and its contents have been grouped. Undo the move with the left directional button to put it back in its place. Now scope into the group. Hover over the hat box, press and hold L1 and press X. Everything but the box should go grey and blurry. If not, make sure your visual feedback preference is set to all. This shows that you've scoped into the group and can edit its contents. Now, you should be able to take the lid off the hat box. Inside is another hat box. Try taking the lid off this one. I think you can guess what will happen. This smaller hat box is also grouped with its lid and contents. Remove the smaller box and place it next to the large one. Now scope into this group by holding L1 and pressing X over the smaller hat box. The original hatbox will go grey and blurry, as we've scoped into a subgroup. Now you should be able to open the smaller hatbox. What's inside? A lovely hat! Take it out and place it next to the smaller box. When you've done that, proceed to the next step.
It's giving me.
Now that we've taken the hat out of the box, let's try putting it on our puppet. First, we need to scope out of this group. To do that, simply hold L1 and press circle. That takes us back into the large hatbox group. Now scope out again into the main scene by holding L1 and pressing circle. Pick up the hat. Ah, we seem to have a bit of a problem here. The hat is still inside the nested groups, even though it's outside the hatbox.
This guy is really slow.
When you scope in and out, only
Who?
you and your imp are moving in and out of objects or groups.
Oh, yeah.
Unless
Acid monster.
He's
you're
also
carrying
a
something
melee.
with you.
Yeah.
Scope back into the large hatbox group, and then into the smaller hatbox group to get the hat. Now grab and hold the hat with R2, and scope out of both groups with L1 and circle while holding the hat. If you've done it correctly, you should be back in the main scene. With a hat you can now move independently of the boxes. That's because scoping in and out of a group whilst holding an object adds or removes it from that group. Hurrah! Now we can put it on the puppet. Grab the hat, hover over the puppet, then hold L1 and press X to scope into the puppet with the hat. Now scope into the puppet's head while still holding the hat. This is a shortcut for grouping two objects if you're already grabbing one of them. Simply grab an object and scope into another object to group them automatically without having to select them. The same way that scoping into a group while holding an object adds it to the group. Now that it's in a group with the head, place the hat where you want it. Remember to check it from different angles using the grab cam to make sure it's in position. Press R2 softly to nudge if you need to make fine adjustments to the position of the hat. Before you move on, you should try out the puppet to see it walk around with its new accessory. Switch to play mode, possess it with R2, and take it for a wander. Nice. When you're ready to continue, go back to edit mode. Going to play mode and back to edit mode will scope you out of any groups. Remember to rewind time with L3 to get your puppet back in position. Then go to the next step. Okay, let's add some more accessories before our puppet's stage debut. Open the assembly menu and select Search, the button with the magnifying glass, to search for an element. Usually, you'd be in the Dreamiverse here, but for this tutorial, I've kept things simple and curated a collection of elements for you to use. Take a look at some of the accessories in the collection. Select one you like with X. You'll now have your chosen accessory on your imp. Don't stamp it down yet though.
Why what?
Why did I die?
I don't know. Can I give this dude a music?
Sure.
Well, I guess not.
First, we need to scope into the puppet. You can do this even when you have an element from the Dreamiverse on your imp. Scope in with L1 and X, and then scope into the body part that you want to attach it to. If that body part is already in its own group, you'll enter that group. But if the body part is just a sculpture, then you'll create a new group when you stamp the object down. Once the accessory is in the group, you can adjust the accessory while you're there. Try adding some more accessories from the collection. Then it's important to test the puppet in play mode, to check that the accessory is attached correctly. Here's another very important tip. If you ever want to remove an accessory, whatever you do, don't ungroup the body part. If you do that, you'll delete that group's connection to the puppet. And without the connector, your puppet's limbs will start falling off when you go into play mode. And nobody wants that. Instead, scope into the group containing the body part and the accessory. Then either delete the accessory or grab it and scope out. If there's only one object left in the group, it'll automatically ungroup, and the connector will remain safely connected to the remaining object. Play around with the things you've learned in this tutorial and have fun making a character. When you're happy, select the star podium from the tutorial collection and stamp it down in the outline that we've put in the scene for you. Then head back into play mode, jump onto the podium and see what Connie thinks of your creation.
Oh, there's a teleporter. Only on level 3. Chance, you want to see where the thing I found is?
The what?
I'll show you where the
Wait, no, I think I already found it.
oh, in the distant.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Is it always the same in each level?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so I don't have to take another picture.
you do not. Now let's see, what is this? Try this.
Oh dear, it looks like Cuthbert is really stuck this time. In previous tutorials, you've edited the scene to help Connie reach Cuthbert. But this time, you'll be editing Connie herself, supercharging her with some new abilities to get past the obstacles in the scene. Bear in mind that this is a complex tutorial in which it's easy to make a mistake. If you do, remember to use the left directional button to undo. Now go into play mode and see how far you can get. Possess Connie with R2 and press the X button to jump. Oops, she can't even get over the first obstacle. So let's start by souping up her jump height. Switch back to edit mode and we'll get started. To change Connie's jump height, all we need to do is tweak her. So hover over her, hold L1 and press the square button to open her tweak menu. This is a puppet tweak menu. As you can see, it's jam-packed with different options.
Oh wait, hang on.
All you need to do is tweak her. So hover over her, hold L1 and press the square button to open her tweak menu.
Okay.
This is a puppet tweak menu. As you can see, it's jam-packed with different options. Thankfully, the setting we want is on the first page. All these settings control Connie's overall movement. We could make Connie run super fast or super slow, but nah, that's not gonna help her. A nice high jump is what we need. What do we have here? This slider controls Connie's jump height. Hover over it with your imp and hold X to grab it.
What level
Move
should
your
I be
imp
at
to
before I
adjust
do
the
the
slider to
teleporter?
around 3 meters.
Usually.
That should be enough to get over that stack of blocks. The puppet tweak menu also has some really useful testing controls. Click R3 to start time and Connie will come to life. See what happens now if you hover your imp over the jump height slider. You can preview the jump, so you can get it to the perfect height without having to test it in play mode. Actually, I think you should dial it back to 2.5 meters, or she might overshoot the jump. You can make small adjustments to sliders by using the up and down directional buttons. Hover over the slider
How do I
and use
test
the
it?
down directional button to adjust the setting. Feel free to explore some of the other settings in the menu. If you're not sure what a button or slider does, just hover over it for a few seconds and a more info tip will pop up to explain. You can even adjust the strength of gravity on her jump. Turn it down a bit to make her jump more floaty. When you've got Connie's jump the way you want it, give it a test run in play mode. See how far Connie can get now. Then move on to the next step when you're ready to continue.
Oh. I Okay. Okay.
Well, that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, Connie's new jumping skills aren't going to be much use on the next obstacle. And don't even think about making her jump over the top, because that force field will zap her in a second. Instead, let's give Connie the power to crouch. I bet she's always dreamed of it. If you're still in play mode, switch back to edit mode now. Rewind time with L3 to put Connie back at the start. To give her a crouch, we need to scope into her. Puppets are made up of sculptures, connectors, and gadgets that are grouped together. Hover over Connie, press and hold L1, then press X to scope in. When you've scoped into a puppet, you can see its inner workings. On Connie's back, there's a microchip gadget. It's called Connie's brain, and it contains all her logic and animations. Let's take a look inside. Hold L1 and press X over it to scope in and open the microchip canvas. There's quite a lot going on in here. The gadget I want you to look at is this one in the bottom right corner with the diamond icon. This is a keyframe gadget. If you've played through the Keyframes and Timelines tutorial, you'll already know all about these. Keyframes record changes to things in the scene. They store those changes in a gadget, which can be triggered using logic. This keyframe contains a crouching pose for Connie. Select the keyframe with X, and you'll see a preview of how it looks. Those dashed lines over Connie show that she's being changed by the keyframe.
Like literally right next to the
Press circle to deselect the keyframe, and she goes back to normal. To be able to activate the crouch keyframe, we need to connect it to Connie's controller sensor. Then you'll be able to make her crouch with a controller button. In the next step, I'll show you how to do exactly that.
Well, there's no...
To activate the crouch, we're going to connect it to Connie's controller sensor. If you've closed her microchip, scope back into her and then scope into the microchip to open it up again. The controller sensor is the large gadget on Connie's microchip. It has a controller icon on it. Open up its tweak menu with L1 and square. Now you have a microchip and a tweak menu open, you may need to arrange them on the screen. Make sure that the controller sensor and its tweak menu stay to the left. This is because they generate signals, and signals flow through gadgets from left to right in Dreams. You can also save the 3D space position of tweak menus and microchips, or pin them to the screen, using the buttons that appear at the top when hovering over the canvas. This will help you keep them tidy while you're editing logic, which is very important as it's easy to make mistakes. Now, let's take a closer look at that controller sensor.
Yeah, I finally beat a level by
controller
myself.
buttons. Just what we need.
Oh.
All playable characters contain a controller sensor gadget like this one. But the gadget can also be used for any situation where you want to detect button presses. To assign our keyframe to a button, we just need to wire it to the controller sensor. We won't use a circle button as that depossesses Connie, and X makes her jump. So how about the square button to crouch? Make sure you can see the keyframe on the microchip. Move the tweak menu with R2 if you need to. If you hover over the square button in the controller sensor menu, you'll see ports appear on either side of it. They're just like the ports you see on gadgets. Ports on the left are inputs, and ports on the right are outputs. Now, you need to be very precise for the next part, as it's easy to make a mistake. Carefully hover your imp over the output port of the square button, and press X to create a wire. Stretch that wire over to the keyframe, and connect it to the power port on the bottom of the gadget with X. If at any time you make a mistake, just undo it using the left directional button. Once your crouch move is all wired up, close the controller sensor tweak menu. Hover over it, hold L1, then press circle to close. Now try out Connie's new crouch in play mode. See if she can make it under the second obstacle. When you're ready to continue, go back to edit mode. Rewind time with L3 and start the next step. Right, we're on to the final obstacle. There's no way around it, but it looks destructible. So we're gonna make a slam attack for Connie so that she can smash through it. We'll start by recording a pose for the slam. We can do this using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and open up her microchip if it isn't already open. If you've played my keyframes and timelines tutorial, you'll have a bit of a head start on this next part. Go to the assembly menu and open the animate menu. Select the keyframe with X. You'll now have a keyframe gadget on your imp. Stamp it somewhere in the scene with R2 or X. The keyframe records changes you make to objects and settings in the scene. It starts recording as soon as you stamp it. You can tell it's recording because your imp will change shape and color. Now that we're recording, grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually to create a pose. If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole body. Notice that her knees automatically bend. Make sure her cone is all the way down to the floor so that you can't see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to anything, even tweak menu settings. So, just for visual flair, let's also make her glow. Hover over Connie's cone, hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Because we're scoped in, this opens the tweak menu for the sculpture itself, rather than the puppet. All the settings on this page change the way Connie's cone looks. Look for the glow slider on the first page. Its icon is a sun. Raise the glow up to about 40%. Once you've set the glow, select Stop Recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. You can close the tweak menu now too. Just hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. Select the keyframe gadget with X to preview what's been recorded. Looks good. Over it, hold L1 to store the changes to the keyframe. You can to store the changes to the keyframe. To store the %. Once you've set the glow, select Stop Recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. You can close the tweak menu now too. Just hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. Select the keyframe gadget with X to preview what's been recorded. Looks good. Deselect the keyframe by pressing circle. In the next step, we'll continue building Connie's slam attack. The next step is to place our new Connie animation into a timeline. Using a timeline will let us time the animations and effects of the slam attack. Go to the Assembly menu and back to the Animate menu. Select the timeline with X. Hover over Connie's microchip and stamp a timeline above the crouch keyframe. Now let's open the timeline canvas with L1 and X. The slam attack should be a really quick animation, so adjust the canvas so it's only 1 second long. Any longer and it won't feel snappy enough. Hover over the edge of the timeline canvas so that a white line appears along it. You'll also see a white double-ended arrow appear next to the edge by your imp. When you see this, grab the edge of the canvas with X. Move your imp to shorten the timeline to 1 second. Make sure you don't select the trim button by mistake. It's a square button by the numbers at the top of the timeline. It has a black arrow on it. The timeline duration is now correct, but the space is very small. So let's zoom in a bit. Hover your imp over the timeline canvas, hold L1 and press the right directional button to zoom in. This will keep the timeline duration to 1 second long, but stretch the space so that you can fit more detail into it. If you need to zoom out, just hold L1 and press the left directional button. Now let's put our slam attack keyframe onto the timeline. Grab the keyframe with R2 and place it at the start of the timeline canvas. Make sure you've got the slam keyframe and not the crouch one. The gadget automatically snaps to the surface of the canvas. The keyframe is only a fraction of a second long at the moment, but we need it to fill the length of the timeline. So hover over the keyframe and hold the up directional button to scale it. Make it the same length as the timeline. Now we want to wire the timeline up to a button press.
Chance, I can't find the teleporter.
Yeah?
I see where all the sparkles are, but I can't find it. Oh, it's down there. It's very hard to see.
Huh?
I said I found it. It's just very hard to see.
No,
And I'll probably die because I think I'm under-leveled.
Make it the same length as the timeline.
How?
Now we want to but we need it to fill the start of the timeline canvas. Make sure you've got the slam keyframe and not the crouch one. The gadget automatically snaps to the surface of the canvas. The keyframe is only a fraction of a second long at the moment, but we need it to fill the length of the timeline. So hover over the keyframe and hold the up directional button to scale it. Make it the same length as the timeline. Now we want to wire the timeline up to a button press, just like we did with the crouch. Move the timeline canvas so that you can see the controller center.
My poison debuffs are working. Oh, I beat it.
Sensor and the timeline gadget. Open the controller sensor tweak menu with L1 and square. I'm going to use L1 as the slam attack button. Hover over the output port of the L1 button and press X to create a wire.
The thing.
Stretch the wire down to the timeline gadget and connect it to the power port on the bottom. You can now use the L1 button to perform Connie's slam attack. Give it a try in play mode. At the moment, it's just an animation, so it's not going to do anything to the blocks. But in the next step, I'll show you how to add some force to it.
Ooh,
When you're ready to
acres.
continue, return to edit mode, rewind time, and start the next step.
Oh.
The slam attack animation is all set up, but it's not doing much besides looking cool, so we need to add a gadget to our timeline that will emit a force when Connie slams the ground. The gadget we're going to use for this is the force applier. Go to the assembly menu and open the gadgets menu. Find the move as an output menu and open it with X.
I'd be a lot better with a bunch of
The icon for the force applier looks like a gust of wind. Select it with X to equip it to your imp. I hope you've still got the timeline open. If not, open it with L1 and X. Stamp the force applier onto the timeline canvas below the keyframe. Press circle to unequip the force applier from your imp. The force applier isn't very strong by default, so we'll need to tweak it.
Nope.
To open its tweak menu, hover over the gadget, hold L1 and press square. At the top of the tweak menu is the force strength slider. Its icon is a beefy arm. Drag it all the way up to 100% using your imp. That will ensure the force emitted will overcome the gravity in the scene and the friction between the blocks. Next, increase the force speed to 10 meters per second. That will give the slam attack some punch. If you take a look at Connie, you'll see a green zone around her. Anything in this zone will be affected by the force applier. At the moment, the zone isn't much bigger than Connie. Hover your imp over the zone and arrow gizmos will appear. Grab them with R2 and move your imp to change the size of the zone. Or you can scale the zone more precisely in the force applier tweak menu. Go to the tab called Zone Size. Grab the zone size slider with X and set it to about 3.5 meters. Okay, let's test out Connie's new powers. Switch over to play mode. Possess Connie and give her new slam attack a try. Oops! Looks like it's more power than Connie can handle. The force applier is pushing her off the platform.
What?
Switch back to edit mode and rewind time. In the final step, I'll show you how to tweak the force applier so that it only affects the objects we want it to. To prevent the force applier from pushing Connie off the platforms, we're going to use labels. Labels can be given to any object in the scene, and gadgets like the force applier can detect them. In the force applier tweak menu, go to the Labels tab. By default, it will detect all labels. There are labels for all sorts of objects: foes, scenery, targets. The friend label is used for playable characters like Connie or friendly characters like Cuthbert. So if we deselect it, the force applier will no longer affect Connie. Hover over the friend button and press X to deselect it. It's the button with the heart icon. Now Connie should be able to blast through the blocks without firing herself off into space. Use her new skills to pass all the obstacles. And you can use your new skills to create some characters for your scenes. When you've succeeded,
Connie and Cuthbert are recording some new tracks for the Dreamiverse. Cuthbert's not exactly a virtuoso, but you don't need to be one to play music in dreams. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to use the performance tools and instruments in sound mode. Then you'll be ready to start making your own original tracks. In the scene, you'll find a timeline. Open it up with L1 and X. Click R3 to give it a listen. It's just a simple drum beat. A nice place to start jamming with other instruments. No. Click L3 to rewind time. To add another instrument, we need to go to sound mode.
Oh, did I get something?
Go to the assembly menu and select modes.
I got I Love Dying.
Oh,
select
nice.
Sound mode, the one with the speaker
Now you get to use
with X. Once in sound mode, select the search button in the sound menu. It's the one with the magnifying glass icon. In sound mode, the search button has some extra
Now you get to
options for
use a
searching
useless
specific
thing.
types of sounds. Select the button for search instruments. You'll find tons of cool instruments in the Dreamiverse, but for this tutorial, I've made a collection to get started with. Open the collection with X. All of these sounds are instruments that you can play. Hover over any of them for a little preview of what they sound like. Unlike music clips, instruments don't have any music pre-recorded. So the previews you can hear are just to give you an idea of how the instrument sounds. The notes it plays will be down to you. Let's start off by laying down a bass line. Pick any instrument you like from the selection of basses. I'm going for FM classic bass, but creating music is all about personal taste. Once you have an instrument on your imp, hover over the timeline and it'll snap to the canvas. Stamp it onto a new row under Jazz Brush Kit and line it up to the start of the timeline. When you're ready to start jamming with your new instrument, move on to the next step. have 2 instruments on the timeline, but they look a little different. That's because Jazz Brush Kit has music recorded, and the FM Classic bass doesn't. To start playing, we need to open the instrument. You can do this by selecting the instrument with X, then the Open Sound button in the context menu. But a quicker way to open it is to use the shortcut L1 and X. Just like we do when opening a microchip or timeline, or scoping into a group. Any sound can be opened this way, even sound effects. This colourful canvas is the sound's freeform view. The imp has undergone a bit of a transformation too. That's because we're performing. If you move your imp off the canvas, the buttons do their normal functions. But when you're hovering over the canvas, your controller buttons can play different notes using the instrument sound. Under your imp, you can see which notes are played by each button. The notes on the right are played by the action buttons. And the ones on the left are played by the directional buttons. These colourful spots on the canvas aren't just for decoration, they are effect fields. See what happens when you play notes while hovering over one of these spots. Effect fields can drastically change the sound of the instrument.
This death mark doesn't seem very good.
Yeah.
With most effect fields, the effect is strongest in the middle and fades off to the edges. Different instruments have different effect fields. You can even edit and customize the fields to create your own version of the instrument. Let's not get too carried away with the possibilities just yet, though. First, get comfortable playing notes on the canvas. Try out all the effect fields and see if you can play a simple tune. Nothing is being recorded yet, so you're free to go wild. In the next step, we'll explore other ways of using freeform view. Now you've got a feel for performing in freeform view, let's look at some other features of it. In the context menu, find the button called Stop Performing. If you select this, your imp and controls will return to their normal functions, and you won't be able to play notes on the canvas. You can also stop performing by holding L1 and pressing circle when hovering over the canvas. The effect fields are now shown as gadgets. You can grab them with R2 to move them around, or tweak them with L1 and square. To go back to performing with the imp, just select the Start Performing button in the context menu. Or use L1 and X on the canvas. Try pressing the buttons in this order. X, square, triangle, circle, down, left, up, right. This progression of notes is called a scale. To be specific, this is the C minor pentatonic scale. Sounds fancy, doesn't it? You can change the scale by holding down R1 over the canvas. With R1 held, use the left stick to select a different key. The right stick is used to choose different scales in that key. Release R1 once you've made your choice, and the instrument will now play to the scale you chose. Different scales have different feels, so you can make your music sound happy or sad, bluesy or folksy, or just plain old avant-garde. You can play in whatever scale and key you want to, but it's usually a good idea to stick to that choice for the entire song. Explore the different keys and scales. You don't need to be a music theory expert to understand them. Just use your ear and listen to how they sound. But if you want to follow along exactly with this tutorial, then stick to C minor pentatonic. Hold R1 and use the left stick to select C. Then use the right stick to select the additional category, then the minor pentatonic scale. Now we know how to perform using freeform view, I think we should try recording something. Move on to the next step when you're ready. Okay, now you've had some time to practice, let's try recording something. For your first try, we'll keep things simple. So try playing this sequence. X, 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 X. Square, square, triangle, triangle. To help us play in time, we can use the metronome. If you look to the top left corner of the canvas, you'll find a couple of buttons.
Radar tower.
The first one is the metronome. Select it with X to turn it on.
You should repair that.
This will add a useful click track, which can help you play in time when recording. Next to the metronome is the count in button. When this option is turned on, you'll have a 4-beat count in before recording starts, so you have a moment to prepare. In the context menu, you'll find a button with a record icon. Select this button when you want to start recording. After the count-in, the timeline will start playing and the canvas will record your performance. When you're ready, give it a go. When the playhead reaches the end of the timeline, it'll stop. You'll still be able to play notes on the canvas, but none of them will be recorded. When you've finished performing, select the Stop Recording button in the context menu. Play back your recording with R3. See how the notes appear on the canvas as colourful strokes. If you view the canvas from the side, you can see your performance in 3D. As this was your first try, you might have made a few mistakes, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, that's too complicated. Let's try this.
You have kitten fever. Whew. Ooh, I'm playing with people online.
Oh, nice.
In a moment, you'll be creating and editing your own scenes in edit mode. Scenes are like levels in a game, or scenes in a movie. They're made up of
Ooh,
elements. Elements are like props, sets, music, effects, and characters. Anything that you can build inside a scene and save to the Dreamiverse. Scenes are connected together to form dreams. And these dreams can be found when you go dream surfing. Welcome to edit mode. This is a fresh scene full of potential, where you can build anything you can imagine. Before you go wild with the power of dream shaping, let's just do a very quick imp quest to get you off on the right foot.
Uh-oh.
What?
The guys that are on fire keep killing me. Shoot. Ugh. Is the Shrine of the Woods, does that heal you?
Yes.
Okay. I found all the drones. Oh, are they doing the thing? Uh-oh. That game is exploding open. Okay. Feather.
Welcome to edit mode. This is a fresh scene full of potential,
Okay, there we go.
where you can
Whoa.
build anything you can
There's
imagine.
so many. Come on. This thing. What does the, like, red knife thing do?
What do you mean?
I don't know. It's a red item and it's just a knife.
Oh, it sometimes
Don't forget
shoots.
that ImpQuest streamer.
It sometimes shoots knives upon
Okay.
enemy deaths.
Because I found a red item and I couldn't pick what it was because everything was attacking me.
Dreamer, did you forget about the imp quest?
Oh, I see. The knives just like fly around. God, what is hitting me? What's this thing?
Are you stuck? Maximize the hints box to see what to do next.
Oh my god, this stupid woman is pestering me about this stupid thing.
Uh-oh. I like sharing money, though. I like that part of the game. Whoops. What is this?
Don't forget that imp quest, Dreamer.
Oh my god.
What is this? Uh-oh.
So how do I connect something?
Dreamer, did you forget about the imp quest?
No, I'm purposely avoiding it.
Ooh, there we go.
Are you stuck? Maximize the hints box to see what to do next.
Shut. Well, I don't know how to connect this donut into... I don't know how to connect this donut to...
Don't forget that imp quest, streamer.
Okay, so how do I connect this?
Dreamer, did you forget about the imp quest?
Ooh, portal. Ooh, we're going into a orange portal.
An orange portal? Oh, it's gold.
Oh. It's nice that I've got 2 people on the team that seem like they know what they're doing. What is this place?
It's a special place.
What's special about it?
I'm trying to find, I'm trying to figure out how to connect 2 things.
Yeah.
So
Are you stuck?
I can't.
Maximize the hints box to see what to do next.
Uh, oh, there we go. What? There we go. Okay.
Ooh, I defeated the unique guardian of Gilded Coast.
Yep.
Halcyon Seed. That was cool. Take that, Buffalo. What is the shrine that has like the circle above it? What's this? Whoa. They all died at once.
Okay.
Imp Overlord. Why did this happen?
That's a boss.
Oh, I guess someone did the teleporter. Oh. And they beat it in under 15 seconds.
Wow.
So I guess I get that achievement also.
I haven't done that.
Welcome to
Yeah,
Edit
I
Mode.
guess you need to play online
This is a
and get
fresh
lucky, I
scene
guess.
full of potential, where you can build anything you can imagine.
I don't even need to be at the teleporter. And other people will just do it for me. Ooh, hidden button. Again.
Now that you've had a peek into the Dreamiverse, there are some new options. Dreamer, it is with great pleasure I now bestow upon you your very own home space. When you're ready, head through the magic door.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, it's time for the boss already.
A tantalizing new batch of quests has appeared. Complete these to unlock more home space editing tools and win some prizes to decorate with. Okay, Let's go wild and change the look of the entire space. Give it some atmosphere.
What do these halcyon seeds do?
Look at all the wonderful things you found. There's lots more where these came from. And look at the things the folks at Media Molecule left for you in MM stuff. Ooh, that looks fancy. Where's nice for it to go?
Ooh, Chris has found legendary chest.
Beautiful. What else can we change? How about some music? Sounds wonderful. Feel free to potter around and spruce the place up. This is where my imp keeps track of all the imp quests you've completed and the ones you've still to try. If you're ever short of something to do, just come here or visit my imp in your home space.
No! Why am I dead? Man. Yeah, do the teleporter. Wow.
Okay, I'm just gonna play games now.
Oh, he died also.
Sonic Adventure. Select your
Goodbye,
mode.
a planet. Loader. Wow. Engineer. Quit after the beginning. Commando. Wow, someone was actually being the...
Select your mode. Select your mode.
There's a challenge of the mountain literally next to a storm. Man, the Huntress is so much faster. It's really nice.
Oh.
Oh god, I'm already dead.
What?
So I was the Huntress and just had like too many robots. Well, I unlocked some good stuff from that multiplayer thing.
Yeah?
I see. It summons a thing during the teleporter event. got some more log. Ooh, I also got the mechanic.
The mechanic?
Repair 30 drones or turrets.
Huh.
And blackout. Defeat the unique guardian of the deactivating.
Ugh. Oh.
Yeah, I like this game. Did you make it? Yeah, unlock the robot.
Oh, multi.
Yeah. I unlocked hack rate setting option.
Just punching them is really good. What?
And I went right off the map.
I guess I beat the game? Oh. Yes. Hopefully this music isn't copyrighted. Lawnmower! Oh, he's blow. Oh, it's in the big slot. Oh no, I dropped it. Trash bag. Garbage bag. Shovel. Okay. Doesn't actually have. Oh. What? Oh.
What?
Oh God.
What is...
Beat runner. Main menu. Stage select.
Wait.
Beat runner. Main menu. Character.
Ah.
Main menu. Stage select.
Oh, it's just Geometry Dash.